Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. Today we're going to be talking about pretty much a tier list on what are the best tanks in the game as of this meta. I don't know if they're going to be adding any more upcoming in this next update. I know it's another content patch and there is going to be another raid involved, so most likely there is going to be a lot more stuff. But besides that, I just wanted to make this because people are still questioning, like, what do I do? You know what I mean? There are a lot of roles that need to be filled in this game in order for you to actually be able to play. Now, a lot of people's biggest issues has been survival in this game, which is totally fine. With good equipment sets, good defensive equipment, such as high defense, flat defense, HP even, this stuff is very useful to understand. If you guys don't understand that stuff, I insist checking out my guide on stats and how to get good stat builds, because that also comes with these tanks. Like, these tanks are not going to be able to just do everything in the game. You know what I mean? They need equipment. They need to be able to defend themselves and also defend your teammates based off of certain stats. Now, I like the way that they're going with some of these characters, but there are some that do have those niche uses, and we'll talk about those today. If you guys like this style of explanation, then of course I'll keep doing this part, and I'm going to do this for like attackers and then supporters as well. I just think that these have to be done in separate videos, or else people are going to be able to like not understand, you know, the uses of some characters compared to others. So let's go ahead and break into it. First things first, we're going to go ahead and talk about tanks in general. These guys are going to be your frontline units no matter what. They're going to be able to help your charge unit stay alive. They're going to be able to help your entire team stay alive in some cases. And some of them are even more useful than others. And I'll be talking about how some of these guys work. So first things first, let's go ahead and talk about some of the characters that just aren't good tanks at all. And some of those characters just have to do with low stats or just defense in general being a problem, or they don't have a skill that makes them very useful. And that's going to be like Luffy, Sanji, and Sanji. Now these guys, I want to talk about these guys first, only because they do damage skills, but it's not very good for them to actually do damage skills. Now, because you're not going to be using them to do damage. Not these guys, at least. They have terrible skills. So that's just, you know, early game. Definitely don't even invest in these guys. You could if you wanted to, but honestly, it's not really worth it. The other one I want to talk about is the new guy, Shield Hero. I love this guy in the anime. He's amazing, but as of this moment, he's a terrible tank. The only reason I would say that this guy's really, really bad is because of his skill. His skill allows you to block damage, and then also his passive allows you to take 30% of all damage from your entire team, and then, you know, it all goes to him. The only issue is he does not have a damage soaking mechanic. So since he doesn't have a damage soaking mechanic, when this dude starts taking raid damage or tower damage and just like massive damage, when the whole team is taking a lot of damage, this dude's dead in the first couple seconds because of that. Even with the best stats that you could possibly put on this guy, defensively, HP wise, it's not going to matter. He's going to die too quickly. And on paper, he sounds like a really good tank, but he doesn't execute tanking very well because he doesn't have anything to soak up any of that damage. He has nowhere to put the damage that he's taking. It's just going to get him killed. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about some other tanks. Broly, very useful, honestly. In the early game, you're going to use this guy. You're going to be able to give your entire team shield based off his stats. And then you're also going to be able to just pretty much soak up a lot of damage. His stats overall, even if scaled up to like level 100, he's going to be very useful. And I would even recommend evoing him. Now, the reason I don't have Broly here is because, yes, Broly is very, very good for tanking, like once he gets his legendary evo, but that's more of like a damage dealing unit more than anything. And I wouldn't recommend like I would recommend putting him in the front if you have Destined, but if you don't have Destined, you're going to want an actual tank in the front. And we're going to talk about some of those right now. Speaking of some actual tanks that kind of fell out of the meta, now this character used to be the #1 tank on release, but the thing is they changed the way that tanks and charge units actually work together now, and now it's like, you know, it's useful. It's a very useful tank. Now, the reason why is because you can build her defense and her HP, and it'll transfer to this ghost that she can spawn. And then after that, boom, like you're pretty much good. Like they're going to spawn in a whole character in the front, and it's just going to soak up all that frontwards damage. Now, the only thing I wouldn't recommend them now over the past is because, yes, this is really cool, but over time, you're going to realize this character's stats don't scale as hardcore as some of the newer tanks in the game, or she doesn't even have an ability that's going to keep that tank going. It's mostly an ability for that tank to attack. So it is good-ish, but I wouldn't recommend her over other characters. Now, a character I would recommend is probably this one, Darkness. I think it's Darkness from the anime Konosuba. Now, this character is very, very useful, in my opinion. Probably even more useful than Broly, because it just straight up tanks damage. That's her whole job, is to tank damage, and she does it very well. Especially with cooldown reduction, she's just going to be holding her arms out, tanking everything, and negating a lot of that damage that your entire team is going to take. And I even ran her in raids and stuff like that, and she did an amazing job. I can't say that she's bad at all. She's very useful, and I would even recommend her to anybody who's new to the game and is struggling to get a level 100 tank off rip, or doesn't have their first evos yet. She's a great addition to the game, and she's honestly very, very solid. Now, Asta is in the goodish category. Like, he's okay. Like, he's gonna have those tank stats that make him very useful, but he doesn't do a lot early game. Now, I would invest in him early if you were to invest in his Evo, but if you don't want to work with this guy, that's up to you. But I know a lot of you guys are actually fans of Asta, so I know a lot of you guys are going to use him early game and get him to level 100 and try to get that Evo, and I would totally recommend it. I just don't think that he's as good as Darkness in the early game, because this version of him does an attack skill that only shreds a little bit of defense, and that's not even a lot of useful shred. So even with his whole kit, he's just not really up there. Now this character, oh my god, Eclipse or Epsilon or whatever you call her, she's great. She has defensive buff. She has a slime shield that gives her protective, even more protective stats. She's an amazing tank. She's limited edition. If you guys don't have her, I would grind her out as soon as possible and make sure that you actually have her, because she's very, very broken for a tank. She will soak up all that damage and even negate quite a bit of it with her slime shield. Now, we do have Luffy and Asta. Now, Asta I have not played with as much. Like, I still need to get his Evo. I've seen people use him, and honestly, I'm getting a lot of good reviews about Asta and his Devil Union form. Now, I don't know the full kit exactly, but I know that he's already really, really good. You know, with legendaries, they have to be very, very good. And with high stats, high defense, high HP, legendary stats are just way too good in order to pass up. Like, you want these kind of characters. These Evos are definitely worth your time. Now, Luffy, being the last one here, he's very, very good too. And the only reason why a lot of people also run him more of like a hybrid than anything is because if you put him and a good charge unit in the front, he could do a lot of damage too. His skill does quite a bit of damage, and that's what makes him very, very useful and a must-have character if you guys don't have a viable tank in the beginning or towards the end game. Like, I see a lot of people focusing in this Luffy and making sure that they get TS Luffy as soon as possible in order to get the most damage output as possible as well. He's very, very solid. I would always recommend him. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If this helped you out, don't forget to leave a like and all that stuff. I'll be dropping more videos about the different classes and stuff like that real soon. Just expect me to, take my time with it, so I make sure I get all the facts right first, and we'll get to it. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy and peace out.